Hi everyone, so my name's Joseph Heenan. I'm a board member at OpenWallet Foundation, and I also wear some other hats, so I'm also the certification lead with the OpenID Foundation, but I'm just going to talk about OpenWallet Foundation today. So to explain a bit about where OpenWallet Foundation came from, I'm going to draw a parallel with web browsers. So every web browser we have in the world today is basically based on, well, not quite every, but it's based on open source code. So Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Samsung Internet, and so on, that they're all based on open source projects like WebKit, and those in turn are built on top of open standards like HTTP, HTML, and so on. And why do they do that? Because open source development is faster and it's cheaper, and it can also be better for security and safety and for interoperability. So the idea of OpenWallet Foundation is that we should apply this same model for digital wallets. So digital wallets might hold any type of credential, and we provide, or OpenWallet Foundation aims to foster the open source projects that people can build digital wallets on top of. So we're not going to build an actual wallet and deploy it on an app store or anything, but we are going to provide that open source code and the place for people to develop and collaborate on that open source code. And we are not going to invent our own standards. OpenWallet Foundation will build on top of the existing open standards like those from OpenID Foundation, W3C, ISO, and so on. And we're not going to come up with any rules of our own. Plenty of governments, including the EU, will come up with plenty of rules on how things should work, and we just build on top of those. So the idea with OpenWallet Foundation is we create a safe space for all the different stakeholders to work together. So we have a lot of sponsors that we're very grateful for that provide a lot of funding that actually lets us do this work. And that means for anybody that actually wants to develop code, participating in OpenWallet Foundation is absolutely free for the developers, and the developers also get influence into how the organization is run and what technical projects happen. In the middle we have the open source projects, which is obviously the core of OpenWallet Foundation. And then we have the standards development organizations. For them, participating in OpenWallet Foundation is also free, so greatly encourage. The standards organizations also, between them all, get a seat on the governing board, so again can influence the direction. That's the role I actually have. I'm the board representative for the standards development organizations. And then we also have the governments that we encourage to join into OpenWallet Foundation. And again, there's a government advisory council that they participate in, and then they get to feed directly into the governing board as well. So these are some of the sponsors we have. So the big sponsors are at the top left, Accenture, Google, Visa, FutureY, who are a division of Hawaii, Gen, they're the people that have really got behind OpenWallet Foundation and have been there from the early days. OpenWallet Foundation is only actually about 9 months old now. It was only formed last year, so to have these number of people on board already is actually a really great achievement and a credit to Daniel Goldschneider, who's our CEO. We have the general sponsors at the bottom left, and again, you'll see some big names there. Ping Identity, who obviously have a very long history in the identity space. Microsoft, who I presume everybody's probably heard of at this point. Spruce, who provide the solution for the California mobile driving license, among other things. And then we have the SDO members down the middle. You can see there's plenty of those. And then at the right-hand side, we also have the the Government Advisory Council members. As you can see, we've already got 10 members there, and you'll notice there's not a Japanese flag up there, unfortunately, but we are having an active conversation with Japan, and we hope that changes soon. So the initial participants we have in the Government Advisory Council so far are United Kingdom, China, Switzerland, Sweden, Portugal, Papua New Guinea, Mexico, Bhutan, Argentina, and the United States. And again, the person, Ruth, that's responsible for this has managed to do a wonderful job getting this many governments on board in just 9 months, 'cause governments are not well known for moving fast. And she has many more governments in the pipeline to join up as well. And if anybody here is from a government, please don't hesitate to get in touch with Ruth at that. And digital wallets can serve many purposes, and OpenWallet Foundation is not at all opinionated on which purposes wallets should solve. We want to support all the use cases. So digital IDs and driving licenses are very much the obvious ones that we're seeing a lot of traction within the EU at the moment. Obviously, payments, cryptocurrency, NFTs, boarding passes. We're not opinionated, and we're not opinionated about whether a wallet should be web or mobile based or hardware based, runs on a desktop. If you want to do that, OpenWallet Foundation will provide you with a safe space to do your development and give you the support to do it. So this is a list of some of the current projects we have. So I won't run through them all. The dates here are just when the projects joined the OpenWallet Foundation. So some of these projects have a much longer history. So for example, some of you may have heard with the Aries framework, which has been around for a while now. And there's a lot of building blocks here. We have a lot of implementations of SDJOT for various different programming languages, which is really good. Again, with OpenWallet Foundation is not trying to tell anyone that any particular programming language is good or bad. It's you want to develop a wallet in whatever programming language you want, we will support you. In terms of what the OpenWallet Foundation actually provides to projects, we have a number of staff members that do help actually support the projects, get them onboarded onto the OpenWallet Foundation, help them use the tools and that kind of thing. So we have Ree Jones that runs the infrastructure. We have a team that's doing kind of the engagement with the projects and trying to schedule events and really foster a community around these projects and try and get extra developers to come and join the projects and contribute and make sure the existing developers are happy and all those kinds of things. We have a strategy which Torsten Lodderstedt provides. So as you can tell, Torsten is pretty well connected in this space and has an awful lot of knowledge that he is very happy to share with projects and to help them. And Torsten is one of the people that's been very instrumental in bringing all those open source projects that we have so far on board on the OpenWallet Foundation. And then the brand new news from the start of this month is that we've now appointed a CTO into OpenWallet Foundation, somebody called Brian Bellendorf. I guess some of you may not have heard him, but you've probably all heard of the web server project called Apache, that like a good percentage of web servers on the internet run, and it was Brian essentially that was one of the real driving forces behind that Apache project. So again, he's there to provide the guidance, the strategy. He's, probably 30 years experience of working in open source worlds and interacting with governments and things like that. So he's a person that can really help boost the visibility of projects and really get people to know about them. And he's a very enthusiastic guy that really believes in this space. So the OpenWallet Foundation has a lot of community meetings. That's where there's a lot of knowledge sharing and learning that's going on. So between some of these meetings, they've developed a lot of kind of spreadsheets and documents that really talk about how you would build a safe wallet, or comparing the different credential formats or the different profiles people are using of the various standards, and compares them all in detail. So there's a lot of information there that could really help you if you just want to start building a wallet and don't know which choices you should make. So these are some of the community meetings that we have going on. So there's one that discusses the kind of architectures that wallets might want to implement and the pros and cons of different sides. So there is that credential format comparison group that's produced this spreadsheet that shows the pros and cons of some of the different credential formats. There's the Safe Wallet group that is really looking at what wallets need to do and to be privacy preserving, to be safe for users to use and for users to have high confidence in them. And there's a task force called the OpenID for Verifiable Credentials Due Diligence Task Force. That's the one that's really looked at the profiles of OpenID for verifiable credentials that are in use, who is implementing them, which choices they've made, and it's trying to actually see where the commonality is in how different people are using the standards, so that people start to all hopefully coalesce around the same options and start doing implementations that will actually interoperate with each other. So OpenWallet stakeholders are really building an ecosystem where data flows freely to enable user choice, privacy and security. We're very much focused on making sure that the user benefits from this new digital credential ecosystem, and that privacy is respected, and that these solutions are secure, and that users start to trust them and actually want to use them, which is obviously going to be very important for adoption. So just to talk a little bit about actually participating in OpenWallet Foundation. The top level, the people that get a board seat, the OpenWallet fee for that is 200,000 euros. As I say, that gets you a dedicated board seat. The board meets every month, and that's where the decisions about which direction the foundation should go, what budget should be spent on, gets sent. So paying that amount of money gets you a lot of influence and insight onto what's going on. And then, as I mentioned, at the bottom level, for the actual developers, the governments, the people that just want to join and help the community, it's absolutely free to participate. And there are still representatives that are voted onto the board from each of those groups, so that you do have that influence there. So I would very much encourage everyone to actually explore our website. There is a lot of very good information on there. There's links to all the community meetings. There's links through to the GitHub repositories that have the outputs of the community meetings. The calendar is there. If you want to join a meeting, you just sign up and join it. There's no complicated process. You do not have to pay. If you have any interest at all, any questions, do just email us. We have the team that are there to really help you. And yeah, I think that's actually me. I hope I didn't speak too fast because I finished a little early. So arigato gozaimasu.